Hello to everyone. My name is Shavi Zane. I'm glad that you all could join me at this time. So I'm coming on to do a message. This is slightly different from the messages that I have done, but I feel strongly led and guided to bring this to the forefront. It's in regards to the music industry. Now, last night I had a dream, okay? Not all of it I can remember, but the parts that was important or that I need to speak on obviously are the ones that I was able to recall. And in this dream, I was actually taken to Beyonce's house, okay? Specifically Beyonce and Jay-Z's house. And I was there as a spectator. I'm not even sure in the dream. I don't believe that they was aware that I was in their presence, okay? But in the dream, I sat and I watched Beyonce with her sister, Solange. They were actually making a new song. And as they was making the song, Beyonce, she had a pen and paper out. And she was literally, excuse me, y'all, she was literally writing down mathematical equations, okay? Now, these mathematical equations, she was writing them down specifically for each note, for each tune or tone. You know, I'm not that well versed when it comes to the music industry or how you orchestrate or put songs together, but I found it very interesting. She had actually perfected the mathematical equation for each note, for each octave, and it was like she had a specific equation for each verse, for each tone, each note. I mean, it was like she had perfected it, okay? And I was in awe of how she was able to put these numbers together so quickly. It was like she was doing it so fast, like she had been doing this for a long time. And in that moment, as I was watching her, right away in the dream, I knew that she had figured out a way to insert witchcraft into her music, okay? And to be able to use mathematical equations in order to create certain hertz, certain vibrational frequencies through certain tones and certain notes, okay? And was doing it strategically in her music, okay? Now, I'm not sure if she actually writes her own music. I'm not even sure of that. I just know it was being revealed to me that her and Solange was sitting there writing these songs and that she had perfected this craft of numerology and inserting it into the music. And it was like strategically for almost every single piece. You could damn near say it was for each word, for each note, for each tone, for each, everything. There was a mathematical equation. And so what I interpreted was that it was like she was writing out, I'm trying to think of a way to put this. She was using these mathematical equations as a way of creating a musical piece that would give off a certain frequency, a certain vibration, and she knew what each number meant and how it would affect the brain, how it would affect the human body, how it would affect the person on a spiritual level, on many different levels, okay? And so I did see Jay-Z for a minute. He was out on the porch with some woman who had her breast out. I guess she was auditioning for a music video and was being seductive at the same time. But outside of that, I ended up coming up out of this dream, okay? I woke up, or at least that's all I can remember. And so it made me go into, I already know a lot about frequencies, okay? That's what it made me want to talk to you all about, frequencies, and being very aware of the type of music that you're listening to, especially now, because the enemy knows, okay? I'm talking about these lower level entities who have established this wicked structure. There's many different weapons, okay, that they use in warfare, okay? And so this would be music is being used as like a military weapon against the masses, especially melanated people, okay? And I wanted to tell you all a little bit of the research because I've been well aware of frequencies, okay? I'm the type of person where I listen to frequencies for the various chakras. I like to listen to 528 hertz because that particular frequency is that of the heart frequency. It is also known as the love frequency, the miracle tone, and the tone that actually helps to heal the DNA. Okay, this is actually what I'm showing you all here is a tuning fork. Okay, this tuning fork is actually attuned to the 528 hertz. Okay, if you can see it there, it's actually 528 hertz, and this tuning fork is used to help. It's a sound resonance that the body is attracted to, and it actually helps to heal the body. And so I use this often. You just hit it on a hard surface, and that's what it sounds like. Okay, and so these tuning forks are used to help heal and can help to alleviate pain. I find that it works very well in eliminating pain pretty quickly. You'd be surprised at what the tuning fork does. And so I have that. But I want to get off into this because I want to tell you all some things. Now, when we talk about vibrational frequencies and energy, we know that everything is energy, okay? And frequencies, vibrations, everything vibrates, whether it's at a very fast pace or a very slow pace or anything in between, okay? The scales vary, from wide to small, okay? But when you think about something that's vibrating at a very low vibrational frequency, you'll say that it might be something like a rock, okay? Something that's very still and very dense in form. When you think about something that vibrates at a very high frequency, you would say that it might be a spirit, okay? The most high or spiritual is something that's in a spiritual realm that can't be seen with the naked eye. One way of giving you an example of understanding frequency is that, you see my hand moving right now, right? And it's moving very slowly, okay? So it's not vibrating that high, but when I do it like this, it vibrates so fast, like if I could make my hand move extremely fast, it will disappear. Well, you can't see it with the naked eye because it's vibrating at such a high vibrational frequency. So that's what you think about when you consider the frequencies of music. Now, Beyonce in this dream has perfected what each frequency does and how it affects the person. Okay, this is what I was seeing here. And so whether she's doing this in real life in 3D, or if this is just something that they're doing as a whole in the music industry, there's something about mathematical equation being inserted into the music in order to affect the masses or to affect those that actually listen to it. And so I wanted to tell you all in regards to some things that I had found out here. Now, let me just read this to you. Back in 1885, the music commissioner of the Italian government declared that all instruments and orchestras use the tuning fork that vibrated at 440 hertz, which is different from the original 435 hertz. So there is a musical commissioner in Italy. This was back in 1885 that came together and said, we no longer want to attune the instruments to the 435 hertz that we have known it to be for a very long time. We want to attune the instruments to 440 hertz. And they made this declaration out to all people to tune their instruments. All instruments had to be changed and set specifically to 440 hertz. Okay. Now, in 1917, the American Federation of Music endorsed the Italians and further pushed for the 440 hertz to be inserted into the music, okay? They pushed it even harder towards the 1940s, okay? So in 1917, they endorsed it. They agreed with it. In 1940s, they pushed it to where it was like, okay, we are establishing it at this point. We desire for all instruments, specifically the A note, the middle A note, okay, especially on on pianos, the A note to be attuned to 440 hertz. And no longer at 435 hertz. Now, 435 hertz is in resonance. It actually is in agreement with the natural tone of the earth. Okay, 435 hertz is actually the same thing as the same thing as 8 hertz. Let me see how they actually said this here. Okay, the old hertz of 432, I keep saying 432 hertz, which is what it used to be before they changed to 440 hertz. It resonated with 8 hertz, which is also known as the Schumann resonance, okay, which is the documented fundamental electromagnetic frequency, which is the same beat of the earth. So in other words, this 8 hertz, the 432 hertz, actually is the same frequency as the vibrational frequency of the earth, also known as 8 hertz. Okay, and so it matched, the 432 matched with nature. Okay, and so when the music used to be played at 432 hertz, it did not go against nature. Okay, at 440 hertz, it actually is a tone that works against the human body, and it works against nature itself. So the human body is also in alignment with nature, at least it's supposed to be. But the whole agenda here was to change it from nature, from something that is natural, to the tone of the human body, and to switch it to 440 hertz so that this agenda to use music as a military weapon would be pushed into place, or would be in place, so that these people would be able to be in a space of power. Okay, it is also speculated that the Rockefeller Foundation adopted this 440 hertz standard in 1935 as a part of war on consciousness. Okay, now when you think about consciousness, this is all about being expansive, seeing things from a higher perspective, being able to see through the matrix, being able to understand things. Okay, but with this being, with music being weaponized and being used as a means to throw off the vibrational frequency of all things that are of nature, okay, mainly the people, this has been used as a weapon to create a certain outcome. Okay, now how has this affected people when you consider the effects that this has on people? Okay, 440 hertz is said to cause greater aggression in people, psychological agitation, emotional distress, and in turn, these things also cause physical illness, financial impositions, and these things, and also aggressiveness, anger, okay, sadness, low vibrational energies, everything that goes against nature itself. Okay, so all of the people understand that there's many people that's invested in this particular military weapon, using music as a military weapon against the masses. I hope y'all are with me here. Some of you, do your own research, but I'm going to give you what has been given to me because it's on my heart to express it. So I hope that I'm explaining this in a way where you all are able to understand what I'm saying here. This 440 hertz goes against the nature of a man, okay? And there are many people who are financially invested in this conspiracy. Those who work in the medical industry, okay, because this is causing physical illness, mental disruption, neurological disruption, okay. The music industry obviously is invested in this. Governmental structures, because this actually takes people away from being in that energy of higher consciousness. It keeps people in a very low vibrational state, and so certain governmental structures are able to stand. The current governmental structure has been able to stand because people have become largely codependent on the structure, because emotionally they were so out of tune with their nature and their own power, okay, that they had to they had this umbilical cord like a baby to the current governmental structure, okay? But it was all orchestrated this way to throw people off. And so also banking systems are also invested in this, because if you are in a poverty or a lack mindset based on what you're listening to, and everything is thrown off balance, and you're in survival mode all the time, okay, then this also is beneficial to those who have these banking systems, because you have those who are in poverty. It's so many different structures that are invested in this, using music as a military weapon against the people, okay? Now, one thing that I also am aware of, is that there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Emoto, okay? This is an Asian man who did a scientific experiment on music and how it affects water, okay? He said that he was just kind of, looking around in some books that had snowflakes in it, and he became very interested in, how energy actually affects snowflakes, and how this, music in certain tones and frequencies affects water, okay, and affects the human body. And so, as you know, the human body is it's comprised of about 65 to 70% water, right? So we are mostly water. And so this Dr. Emoto, he did an experiment with water. And in this experiment, he had a setup, okay, where he had one petri dish that was he put water in this petri dish, but he played music over this experiment, okay? He had two different experiments. One where music was played that was negative music, the type of music that was hateful, where hateful words were expressed, or sad music, where sad things was expressed that would make you go back into that grieving energy. Anything that was low vibrational in its energy, angry music. So you could think of different things, certain types of music that will put a certain amount of aggression in a person, anger, bitterness, sadness. He played this into this water and he froze it. He put it up under a petri dish and he saw that it was a bunch of blobs, just, all disfigured blobs. That's what the water looked like under the petri dish. And so he said, okay, well, I'm going to take this other this other experiment, and I'm going to play all things that are loving, high vibrational music. He also used 528 hertz, okay, which is the same tone as this tuning fork. And he played music that was uplifting with positive words about love, about joy, and that had certain tones in it, certain frequencies in it that resonate with the human body, okay, that don't work against nature, but that works with nature. Like I said, 528 hertz in particular. And this music, when he froze it, this water, when he froze it and put it up underneath the petri dish, he saw perfectly formed snowflakes that actually came from that particular experiment. And so what he came up with, he was able to conclude after doing this multiple times, that water has memory, and that water picks up on the energy and the vibrational frequencies it picks up on the energy, and it creates a memory of those things that is surrounding it. And so that's why even when I drink my water, you speak loving things over your water, or you can write positive affirmations on your water bottles, or you can play frequencies into your water in order to charge it and to give it and to actually allow it to take on the form and the memory of things that's going to be good and for your physical vessel, okay? And so he was able to see that, okay? He was able to show this through experimentation. Like I said, look him up, Dr. Emoto. He did this experiment, okay? And so consider the fact that your DNA itself is actually surrounded by water, okay? And there are biochemists, okay? There are genetic biochemists who use the 528 hertz to repair DNA. So like I told you, the 528 hertz specifically is the love frequency. It's also known as the miracle tone. And it actually does help to repair the DNA. And that's exactly what it says on here on this tuning fork. It says 528 DNA repair. Okay. And so when you consider that your DNA is surrounded by water, then you know that the DNA picks up on the surrounding, whatever is in its environment. It replicates itself, or it expresses itself based on its environment, okay? And so when you are playing certain music, specifically this new tone that they have enforced throughout the entire world now, the whole world now has changed this A note, middle A note, to 440 hertz. Okay. And who knows what else they have done to the music now that they have been able to discover how energy and frequencies affect the human body. Okay. So in the dream, I told you Beyonce had this down to a T. I'm talking about mathematical equations. She was doing it. She could have done it in her sleep with her eyes closed. She had perfected this craft that strongly. Okay. And so, as you know, there's a polarity to everything. So if you can clearly use music as a weapon and put out a frequency that goes against that of the human body, then you can also put out a frequency that is in alignment with the human body that will actually help to awaken and to repair DNA, because DNA is housed in water, right? And so consider that you can have musicians who create music that is actually going to help to heal people, literally heal people's DNA and to awaken DNA and to activate DNA, okay? So that the DNA expression is that of in alignment with nature, okay, and it doesn't work against them, because that's what's happening for all these illnesses that's coming out. That's why I told you the medical industry is also largely invested. This is a whole a group, a cult of people that work together to use these weapons of mass destruction on the masses, so that people would remain codependent on the structure. Okay, and so you can have people, and there are people out here who are creating music that is specifically used. They're inserting specific tones that are known to help repair DNA and to heal people. Then you have those who are using tones that are created to actually cause destruction, okay, in more ways than one, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. It's actually going against people's nature, okay. As I told you, one experiment showed that the water turned into blobs when all of the negativity was played. And so even when it comes down to things like cancer is a replica of cells that are mutating so quickly that it gets out of control. But this is largely due to they try to say that it is genetic, okay, but this is DNA that has now been it's been mutilated to some degree, okay. It's been disrupted, okay. DNA that's been disrupted that is now giving off the signal, okay, a signal that works against the body, that works against the human body. And so consider, it's so many different things that are being used, weaponized against the human body, okay. We could talk about the radiation, we could talk about the chemtrails, we could talk about the processed foods, we can talk about you name it, okay. It's so many different things that's being used by this current structure in order to cause disruption and to remove us from our nature. But I'm specifically talking about music because that's the dream that came to me. And so consider what you listen to. Be very, very, very cognizant of not only the words that are actually being played into your subconscious mind and into your conscious mind, okay? Be clear of also behind the words, there's even more to it. The beat, the frequency, the tone, the vibrational frequency, the hertz that's actually being played in the music is actually what's directly affecting you. And it took me back to when I had gone to the doctor's office. I was pregnant with my last child, my youngest child, and I had to go in because I had fell in the tub, and, I just went to the emergency room to go and have her, check out the pregnancy, make sure everything was good or whatever. And they put me in this room. You know how you have to wait for the doctors for a long time before they come and see you. So I literally was in there for like 3 hours waiting for the doctor to come and see me. And I was in this room by myself, and I remember becoming so agitated. But one thing that I knew that stood out like a sore thumb was there was this loud frequency. It was loud to me because at that point I had already been exposed to frequencies. So I knew different tones, okay? And in this room where I was waiting to see the doctor, there was this loud tone, or it was an annoying white noise, they would call it, like people like to call it a white noise, playing into my ear. And I just remember feeling so frustrated and so aggravated. And I sat in there for 3 hours having to listen to that. And I couldn't turn on my phone to play the frequencies that I would use to counter whatever it is. But just know I recognized just being there, because I had already began waking up in my spiritual journey. So I understood what was happening. They're actually playing these low, these tones, these frequencies in public places, okay, especially in establishments like the medical industry, because they know that it works against the nature of man, okay, and it actually causes disruption, not only in the mind and the neurological system, it causes disruption on a DNA, on a cellular level, because the frequencies and the tones that's being played is just like the experiment that Dr. Emoto did in regards to playing certain hertz that are negative or that reject the human body versus certain hertz that actually go alongside nature, that actually is agreeable with nature. And so they play the ones that the human body would naturally reject, because our body gives off sound, natural sound. Okay, that's why the organs, hence organ is actually a musical instrument. Your organs, they all have certain sounds. Okay, that's why when a doctor goes to listen, they'll listen to like your heartbeat. They'll listen to certain body parts with, inside of you to see if they can hear certain things. Okay, and so there is sound that comes from these organs, or that just comes from the human body in general. Okay, and so I'll also say that, like I was telling you, the genetic biochemists actually use the 528 hertz to repair DNA. Okay, and so they understand that DNA is surrounded by water, right? DNA is surrounded by water, and so the DNA actually scans its environment for frequencies relevant to your existence. Your DNA scans its environment. So what's in the environment of your DNA? The DNA is housed in water, okay? And so it scans its environment for frequencies that are relevant to your existence, and according to the cell memory, it changes the structure. It changes its structure, okay, according to the cell's memory. So it picks up on the energy that's surrounding its environment, and according to the cell's memory, it changes its structure, and then it sends messages to reshape itself according to the messages that it received from its environment. So your DNA is actually, it's almost like it's in there and it's listening. Okay, so what are you telling me to do based on the vibrational frequency that is within this water that I'm housed in? What am I hearing here? Am I hearing anger? Am I hearing that? Let's just consider, if you're the type of person, that's why affirmations are also very important, because when you speak life into yourself, when you say, I am love, I'm worthy of love, I'm powerful, I am strong, I am healthy, I am courageous, I am bold, I am talented, I am creative, all of these things, you are actually speaking not just to your mind, but you're speaking to yourself down on a cellular DNA level, okay? And just as the experiment that Dr. Emoto did, you are speaking to the H2O, the chemical makeup of your body is actually taking on the form of what you project and what you believe, your thoughts, not just what you say out of your mouth, but what you actually believe to be true about yourself is actually engraved in your DNA. Your DNA is affected by that. And so, man, it gets so deep. So then consider that the DNA is literally is looking for instruction on what to do based on what its environment is saying to it. Okay, based on what is going on with its environment. Okay, and so it has memory. Okay, it has memory, and it changes its structure based on the messages that it receives. So consider, again, if you have negative thoughts about yourself, and you might externally present yourself to the world as if you feel like you're good enough or whatnot, but inside you feel, I'm no good. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not talented. I'm in poverty. Like this, these are the things that you're telling yourself, or you are the type of person that's always saying, you sick and tired of something. I'm sick and tired. And most of the time when you say you sick and tired of something, not only are you saying the words, but you are also expressing those words with emotion behind it. So consider emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. Emotion is actually impaired with words. Emotion paired with words is really creating something. So saying that you're sick and tired all the time, you better get up out of that habit, because if you say that, you're going to always be sick and tired, okay? Because your cells are picking up on that information, and it's what you're directly telling your DNA to do. It's picking up on that, and it's remembering that, and it's replicating based on what you think, what you feel, what you say, and what you do. This thing runs so deep, okay? But I'm just touching the surface because I'm talking about how this affects you physically. The surface goes deeper into the spiritual realm. And so there's much more to this. But we're starting here. So just know that your DNA is affected by that. And so in knowing that, when I do the videos and I'm suggesting that you all listen to certain frequencies in order to, specifically the 528 hertz, I'm going to play it again. This particular hertz right here, 528 hertz is actually in alignment with, it's called the solfeggio scale. And you know how in music class you say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Ooh, that was a hot mess, okay? Do, re, mi, so, fa, la, ti, do, okay? That's the solfeggio frequency, the solfeggio scale, okay? And so me is actually in alignment with the tone of 528 hertz. Okay? Me. So consider, let's just say the current structure decided we're going to shut off all internet connections. Now that everybody has awakened and everybody knows about frequencies and they know about healing themselves through frequencies, we're going to shut it down. Now all you need to do is just say, me, because that particular tone is in alignment with the 528 hertz. Okay, and the 528 hertz is the healing tone, which is used again by biochemists to help repair DNA. So you already know how to create that tone through your own voice. And me, saying me, you are actually, what are you saying? It's spelled M-I, but you're saying me, okay? So this is in resonance with you, your physical vessel, your nature, okay? So there are ways for you to actually will yourself to heal yourself. You will yourself into good health by speaking positivity over your life, by listening to certain tones and frequencies, by tuning out from certain music, okay? Because these people, like I said, are using this music as a weapon to cause illness, to cause emotional aggression, to cause depression, to cause anger, okay? There's certain music that you can listen to that'll get you so hyped up that you'll be ready to go and smack somebody else's mama, and sometimes even your own mama, okay? So you want to consider what you listen to and what you allow to come into your vessel at all times. Be conscious in your efforts to heal yourself, okay, and to uplift yourself, speaking positivity over yourself. Be conscious of the thoughts that you are having. Be conscious of the emotions that you are having, because on a cellular and on a DNA level, you have the ability, you have the power, you have the authority to actually reshape and restructure your entire physical vessel, as well as your spiritual vessel. But again, I'm staying to the physical right now because this is relevant to the music. And if you are a musician, you are in a position where you can actually use your music, not only the words that are being spoken, but the tones, the frequencies, the hertz that you are actually putting into that music will heal hundreds of thousands to millions of people across the world, because you have been strategic in selecting those tones and frequencies and those words that actually do not work against nature, but instead it works with nature and is healing, okay? It's balancing, okay? It allows a person to stay in homeostasis. It doesn't throw them off balance and have them all over the place, or have them in a state of depression or anger, or in their carnal nature where they're constantly wanting to just go and have sex. Okay, it's very clear what the agenda was, especially around certain time frames where the music was just all about being a hoe. Okay, everything that came out was about being a hoe. And so people begin to believe that being a hoe was normal. And if you wasn't a hoe, then it was something wrong with you. Okay, but we have to consider what the weapons, the type of things that these people have been doing in order to have a war on consciousness. Okay? This was all a planned out agenda. And so this is why in our awakening, now that we are aware of what is happening, those of us who have these gifts to establish, to put certain music out there, or even when it's just on an individual level, to heal yourself. Know that it's time for you to turn off certain things. If you find yourself being, you got to play this one track over and over and over again, and it's always putting you in this energy of just wanting to go out and sleep with the next thing walking, or it's always putting you into this aggressive energy where you just want to go fight somebody, or it's putting you into this energy of depression after you get done listening to it. Know that it's not just the words that you're hearing. This was a worldwide agenda to change the musical frequency, the hertz, from 432 hertz, which is in resonance with the human body, in resonance with the 8 hertz, which is the natural sound and vibrational frequency of the earth, to change it from 432 to 440, which works directly against the human body and nature itself. And so even if the words are not necessarily negative per se, consider the vibrational frequency and the hertz that's being used in the keynotes, okay, that directly works against and in opposition to a healthy, balanced physical vessel, a healthy, balanced mind, okay? It's time for us to awaken and to see this thing from a higher perspective. And so I feel that that dream that I had was for me to bring this message forward and to really give you all some insight on what else is going on and how this particular structure has used things, or this particular subject matter of music against the masses. And so on an individual scale, there's a lot that you can do. Tune out, tune in, tuning fork, 528 hertz, healing frequency, DNA repair, listening to frequencies on your phone. You can pull up 528 hertz on YouTube right now, play that in your sleep, listen to affirmations that also have 528 hertz playing in the background, affirmations that uplift you. Do that on a daily and regular basis until you're able to reprogram and restructure the chemical makeup of your DNA as well as your mind, okay? So that from now on, your thoughts are positive. Your thoughts are in agreement to growth, expansion, okay? Becoming more powerful and more strengthened. This is the message for you all. I love you. I hope that you all was able to stick with me and follow me. I know that you was, because y'all are very intelligent. I love y'all. And thank you for watching. I hope to see you all again soon.